drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Fencer in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello and a big warm welcome to the Bastards Inquiry. Yes, it's Sunday sermon time. It's that time of the week where we like to chew the fat and entertain you for 50 minutes to an hour and talk absolute rubbish. And joining me as always are my two partners in crime, Jonas Lane and Lorne Malvo Chris. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Evening, everyone.
Yes, good show this week. There's not much to review, unless we can talk about the Nars fog, but then there's not a really... Bit of a farce, but there we go. No, to be fair, John,
the farce at Nars.
It was the right thing to do, of course. Abandon it, but they probably shouldn't have ran the first, really. But I get where. In terms of spectator sport, should any racing take place when there's like fog, where you can only see like two fences or something? We've done it in UK many a time, haven't we? Where you can literally only see maybe an angle from down the back for a fence and then last two fences in straight or something. Should any racing really take place? Is it just putting two fingers up to spectators when they do?
I think it could take place as long as every inch of the track is covered by the SIS pictures.
I mean, so if you've got car going round on inside or whatever and camera on thing, at least you see them.
As long as you've got pictures, fine. But if you ain't got pictures, technically anything can happen and you can't police it.
No.
and anything that does happen.
Yeah. It's a pity Charles Burns didn't have a battalion out today, isn't it?
Yeah, fucking hell. He wouldn't have bothered in the fog. He wouldn't have bothered fucking taking the races, would he?
Yeah.
They were there.
There'd have been a few jumping in at the second last, wouldn't there?
Exactly. Get cut across the middle, yeah. One's just joined in, yeah.
Imagine if you've got a track where you have to do, say, 3 laps or something, and just stop after one lap, wait till they come round and then go with them again.
Yeah. That's what they said about Jimmy Savile's marathon sort of career. They said that his secretary came out a couple of years back and said it was all bollocks. They used to film him at the start running 100 yards. He used to get a taxi to the end, and when final half mile, he used to join in and run there. They said he'd never actually run a full marathon as often as they said he did.
I never swallowed it that he ran a marathon. He never had them cigars out his fucking gob.
Yeah, of course he did. All bollocks, wasn't it?
So there was one piece of action today that's worthy of talking about, though. It was the recovery from jockey Joe Anderson, which was rather remarkable. It was like watching a rodeo in the Wild West on the wild horses. I mean, he'd lost his irons when the horse made a mistake down the back at the top of the hill, and he ended up round the horse's neck. He managed to get back, which in itself, to get back in the saddle from that was incredible, which he did. And then obviously no irons for half a circuit, managed to get him back and win the race on transmission. I think that's worthy of a mention. So, I mean, already, chaps, probably Ride of the Year is already in the bag, maybe?
Don't know about Ride of the Year, I guess. I mean, it was very impressive recovery, wasn't it? That's for sure. But Ride of the Year, no, really.
It's like one of them where the cowboy's hanging off one side of it and the Indians are on the other side, and he's shouting at
First Nation Americans is the term, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can't say Red Indians. You can't even say Native Americans.
No, look what's happened to poor old Washington Redskins. I mean, they've...
Yes.
Correct.
Well, they're there now, Washington Native American skins.
Washington Nationals.
Yes, correct.
Strange old world we've found ourselves in. But
with the points. Coach says it's a lock. Take the points.
Yes.
I was wondering, when somebody's hanging off one side of the arse like that and shouting at the opposition, why don't you shout your arse?
Yeah.
What kind of a monster are you? Fucking hell. Shoot them all.
If somebody was shouting at me and I wanted them to stop, I think I'd shout.
Well, Chris, he's shot a pig before, so I mean...
Who are you, Camel Mardy? Fucking hell.
Blown a pig's brains out.
Dear me.
Oh dear, animal rights would be all over.
Yeah, don't like that. No, I'm with Animal Rising on this one. Shooting horses, fuck's sake.
Yeah, terrible start. Terrible start to the show as always. So let's get on to some topics and subjects. And of course, some of your questions mingled in. Just before that, though, I'd just like to say that the trainers and jockeys I've been keeping an eye on for the last 3 months, and I've discovered some rather startling statistics, chaps. Maybe not a surprise to some, but I was looking at the trainers' charts, like who's been doing what for the last 3 months. I know John McConnell's been out of form; he's like 4%, but I was surprised. I was taken by this, John. Richard Fay, 8% last 3 months.
Yeah.
Another one that stuck out was Alan King Kong, 9%.
Yeah, he's got questions to answer, I think.
We're talking, and he's only a salaried trainer, isn't he? So the usual suspects are always doing well there. But on the jockey front, this surprised me, but maybe not, because we have always said he's overrated despite being a multi-champion jockey. Brian Hughes, last 3 months, what's his percentage, John?
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I would imagine it's pretty poor, given that you mentioned it.
Yeah, 10%. 10%. Yeah, that's the 21 wins from his last 210 rides, which is... It's pretty shit for a supposed top jockey in the game that never gets rides at Cheltenham.
I say, he'll travel anywhere as long as he knows where the course is.
Yeah,
yeah, indeed. So that was a shock on the jockey front, if you like, sort of. Another couple that might shock you, John. Luke Morris and David Probert. What we're saying?
I think, well, I haven't noticed Luke Morris having a winner since God's dog was a pup, so I would imagine that's this power.
Thrasher Morris is 8%.
Long time since that Arc de Triomphe, isn't it?
How many arcs have you won, Keys? 8% also, surprisingly, David Probert rides for Balding.
Well, that's no fucking surprise. He must be chuffed with that, mustn't he? Christ.
To be honest, he's a jockey I've always felt overrated. Probert.
Yeah, never thrilled when I have to back him, to be honest.
No, you're not bouncing up and down. Another one, I think, is the train driver, John. I'm never thrilled when I've got to back him either.
It doesn't perturb me to any extent, but I'm never looking at it and saying, we've got Rob Hornby, we can't get beat.
He's like just one of many mediocre, not terrible, not great pilots that are around at the minute, isn't it? There's just
something of a glut of them, haven't we?
Yeah, totally.
Right, another quiz question. Who is the jockey with the most rides in the last 3 months?
Blimey.
Have a stab.
Edward Hyde.
Ollie Doyle.
Well, Ollie Doyle's been in Japan.
What, the pop group? I don't remember.
Big in Japan.
Big in Japan,
yeah. Good song, that, wasn't it? That's
it was all right.
Quality song.
Yeah.
About a drug deal, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah. Big in Japan.
And your Bob Holness bullshit. Remember, he told me last, it's rubbish. That is about him playing sax on the Baker Street or whatever. Fucking urban myth. You're putting us all away. I've been telling people. And they look at me and say, you fucking soft or something. It's an urban myth. Yeah. Everyone knows that one, all right. You made me look a fool. Even more than an hour every week here.
I love doing this shit. Anyway, it's Billy Loughnane with 272 rides. He's doing well, he's Billy. And the other one that I think is probably one of the best jockeys in the flat game, and I think he's going to be in for a stellar year this year, is Ross O'Ryan, which makes the decision from Ammo to employ David Egan over Ross O'Ryan rather bizarre. Ross O'Ryan is probably as good as anyone out there, I believe, at the moment. And I think he's getting better. Plenty of plaudits to say about him. So, yeah.
The thing is that they've had Rosser, haven't they? And Kia Ora never takes a step backwards, does he?
It'd be like admitting you've been wrong. As Chris knows, these big guys, the big in the game, they'd never ever admit they're wrong.
No.
It makes the decision to employ David Egan a rather strange one. Anyway, we hope the Ginger Warrior does well for Ammo this season anyway. Right, we'll move on.
Well, the one's way back anyway.
First topic of conversation this week is Premierisation. And for me, obviously it's a made-up word at the moment. Who knows, it may make it to the Oxford English Dictionary. But look, I've had quite a bit to say on social media about it this week, so I would like to know where you both stand on Premierisation. John, it's obviously got positives and negatives about it. I don't know if you know my angle of that. I think it's just run so that we can have racing 7 days a week. and 9 till 9 kind of scenario, like dog racing. But
Hmm.
whoever wants to go first, what do you think? What do you think about it?
John, and I'll just parrot your answer. You go first.
I would tend to agree with you, Lee, that I think it's given them scope to move lesser meetings to unadvantageous time slots. That said, I think it's very early days to assess what likely impact it's going to have. I think we need to give it 3 to 6 months to have a better idea of where it's actually going and what it's going to do. It's going to make our job harder, obviously, because there's more racing to watch over a longer time frame. But it could work all right. I mean, at least you're not getting that concentration of races when there's good racing.
Isn't it a self-fulfilling prophecy, though, that Premierisation essentially is bound to take more on the levy than a forerunner novice chase on a Tuesday?
Yes.
And that's how they'll use the argument. They'll say, "Oh, look at Wolverhampton this evening," which Peter Robinson's come on to, and he says, "Good thing or bad thing, John? He's in the good camp, providing opportunity and enhanced prize money. It has to be good." First question I've got is, where is the money coming from on this? Right? Because unless tracks have got big reserves of cash, which Art probably will have, their cash flow must be good.
Yeah.
Where is the money coming from? Because as we know, the elephant in the room that's never mentioned by the industry shills that are championing Premierisation, cough James Knight, don't mention affordability checks as he shrunk the betting market down substantially, as sports betting is down 8% in 2023, first half of 2023 anyway, whereas slots has gone from 2.2 billion in 2020 revenue for Big Corp to 3.2 billion last year, whereas the Betfair exchange has dropped by 50% in turnover since 2017. The elephant in the room here, but not being talked about. We're just talking about moving deck chairs, aren't we?
Well, yeah. What they needed to do, in all honesty, like everything else that they bring in, it's been rushed and poorly thought out. And what they should have done is made sure that this affordability check situation had been put to bed and they know exactly how much they'd be working with.
Because they still haven't a clue, have they?
No.
They haven't got a clue. They couldn't give you a figure. I mean, Chris, right? What industry do you know that's a serious industry? I'm not on about government and other cabals that we've got, like the Gambling Commission, etc. Why don't we have impact assessments? Why don't we have proper people taking everything into account and doing proper impact assessment? Like, so for example, why can't the government take into account that betting exchange liquidity has dropped by 50% since 2017, and yet the slots has gone up since affordability checks, by the way, since affordability checks, can you believe it, from 2.2 billion to 3.2 billion?
That is extraordinary. That's the most kind of impactful number that I've heard in a long time in relation to this subject, because you would expect it to have plummeted, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. What should have happened if you were running a proper functioning society, and it's already been proven in studies, slot and casino play accounts for more addiction than horse racing and sports betting, naturally, because it's a fast-moving product, fast spins, lights, flashing lights. Oh, you've won, Mr. Whatever. Oh, you've got the 3 big bar blitz or whatever it is.
No one gets that, Lee. I've tried every day for hours. You never get the big bar blitz. Never. I'm now recording from a park bench, but tomorrow I'm going to get that one up.
Yeah. So we're here now where people are trying to convince me that Premierisation is the way forward for racing. And whilst as a podcast, we always seem negative on topics, that's because we feel as a podcast overall.
Because we call it racing.
We wouldn't exist. There'd be no need for us to have a chat about it because there's just no point. It'd all be good and run well. It'd be like King Kong or Japan, where we go back to that, where it's obviously a full tote system in operation. And Stuart Williams, friend of the show, has rightfully pointed out many a time that a tote system is the only way to solve racing's problems. And I'm sorry, but that's probably the right answer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is the right answer.
Because the way things are going, this is where I'm sceptical, John, about Premierisation. And as you know, because how they've used affordability checks to cull winning sports bettors and successful players, and not cull the ones that are playing the slot machines, tells you what they're up to. Why then are we in January and the first Premier race fixture is actually Sunday evening? Right, if we're going to do Sunday evenings, I'm all for improving Sundays. I'm all for improving weekend racing, because I've always said that that's when people are off work, most people, and have got more time to divert. It might improve, in fact, probably will improve the levy. So I'll concede that to the likes of James Knight, etc. But what about the workers in the game? Where's their respite on a week now? There isn't. Once you start the full program Sunday, why do we need to race on a Tuesday then, or a Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Why? If no one's going racing anymore, and they're saying, well, there's only like 200 or 300 turning up on a Monday at wherever.
You see, they'll take the view that the people that feel like a day off are the ones that can afford it and can take a day off. And the shit cloths down at the bottom, nobody gives a stuff about, and they can work 7 days a week if they want.
I mean, and Charlie Fellows has sort of waded into this debate as well, and he said, look, I'll support Premier Race Days and things like that if I've got the staff willing to do it.
Yeah. If you have the horses to fucking run there, I think it's probably more appropriate.
Well, that's another thing.
Has he got, that's a good point, isn't it? That's been overlooked. Well, I haven't read anything about that.
The numbers obviously are falling, and you've only got to look at the Meydan and Jebel Ali card to look at the horse flesh that we've lost just to the United Arab Emirates. We have lost substantial horse stock of sufficient quality between the likes of 80 and 100 rated horses that, of course, now the dearth of cards on the all-weather, for example, are seeing big fields. And people just say, well, we're getting big fields, that's fine. Who wants to watch a 0 to 55, 0 to 60 product and bet on those horses that have had 47 career starts, have, as John said, got more headgear than a, say it, John, more headgear than a
3 ASM festival.
Yeah, it's not a sport. It's not a sport then. It's a betting product. All we're using racing for is just a complete betting product for big corporations to dip the bread. And there's evidence of this because we've had questions on this on the show, and someone's pointed out about Meydan and it's G Hart. Meydan's been put in the bin by At the Races and Racing TV. Not even a replay on Racing Replay. Not good enough for their paying subscribers, right? Well, I can tell you why they've done it. I've had it from the horse's mouth. They've done it because there is no money from it. At the Races now, or Sky Sports Racing as it's now known, is simply being turned into a betting channel. You'll have seen recently that the ground racing has crept onto the channel, now behind the red button. It's going to be a wall-to-wall betting channel. This is the direction of travel, favourite Bastio's word, of racing. Get used to it, because this is happening. It's not a pilot. Premierisation isn't a pilot or a trial, despite them saying that. This is in. And it's here to stay no matter what. They might move the deck chairs a bit. That's all we'll ever do. But Nick Alexander pointed out, racehorse trainer, and he said that he's got his concerns about it. He says, why should I turn up and race for 4,000 or 5,000 like midweek when the prize money suffers there just to fund a Premier race? They've got to think about this really carefully, what they're doing, because it's only Big Corp that want the 7 days a week racing. That's how I see it. I'm sorry if I'm a bit conspiracy et al., but the way they've handled affordability leads me to believe that they've got a long-term plan. They over-optimise everything, Big Corp. Everything. From fleecing the man in the street, opening a betting shop in the poorest areas. They squeal loudly when the FOBT limits went down from £100 to £2. There's no squealing here on affordability checks. I think we need, obviously we pointed this out 2 years ago, what had happened. It has happened. Again, this game, as I've said before, Chris and John, needs visionaries, not reactionaries. We need to visualise what this is actually going to achieve. And I can honestly see closed doors racing happening within the next 18 months. I can see tracks making the argument, the ones that are shoved to the side, the shitty meetings.
The media rates who don't need to stuff the place out then, do they?
Exactly. The 10 a.m. starts. They'll come in the racing post and wait for the first track to say it. They'll say, well, we've been moved to 10 a.m. It's not our fault. And there's only like 50 punters coming through the door. It's not financially viable for us to put on a load of staff and catering staff and security and everything else on race day staff. Then you're firmly on the road to the Greyhound route, where, as we see now, dog tracks are ghost towns. It's not good. This is why I always urge people to look at the wider opinion on Premierisation. It's not just about greater prize money now. I can understand trainers, owners, waxing lyrical at £15,000 for a 0 to 55 tonight at Wolverhampton that's been run. I can understand them. Why wouldn't they? They're paying massive fees to own shit horses. So why not have £15,000? Oh, lovely. I'll get a payday for once if we can win that. I get that. But to me, it don't convince me that this is the overall solution. I just think it's like a plaster to cover an enormous wound. So the Maidan have been put in the bid because they don't earn any money from it. They're not getting any kickbacks. So that's why if they were getting kickbacks from it, they'd show it. That's why, if ever you're wondering, when they show King Kong, they'll even show King Kong full screen above a British race because King Kong are paying them to do that. That's a fact. So if you ever wondered, you watch it, you think, oh, hang on, it's clashing with Wolverhampton. It doesn't matter. They will not cut the King Kong feed. There you go. That's your answer. It'd be full screen King Kong, and you might miss 2 furlongs of Wolverhampton. Tough.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But that's the direction of travel for Sky Sports Racing, and you can tell that with the kind of content they're producing. Premierisation. What do you think, listeners? Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing? Obviously, Peter Robinson thinks it's good because, from his selfish point of view, I'm not saying he's selfish overall. I'm just saying everyone's got a selfish view on how they want racing to be run. But he likes a card on Sunday evening to bet on. Look, lovely. That's fine. But then does the stable staff member that's got to drive the truck 600-mile round trip and get in at midnight and be on 2 a.m. on early hours of Monday and then have to get up to do morning stables?
I'm sure Bestial give him 2 days off in lieu.
That's where we're at. Anyway, let us know on Twitter. Join in some chats. Threads are put up during the week. Always join in with opinion. I'll just shout you down. The BHA have put costs up for owners by 6% this new year. John?
Must be enhanced pensions or something. They're paying into now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're buying crypto now.
Again, it's just the optics of this, isn't it? It's just a bad look, isn't it? It's a time when owners are probably failing the squeeze, the cost of living, all the rest of it. Racing could have very easily absorbed this. Didn't have to hit owners at this stage. Here we go again, though. There's no transparency regarding racing's finances or what they're paying people to do or anything else. It's just very sadly typical of what we get from the BHA, isn't it?
Chris, what is 6% excessive?
Oh yeah. I mean, John's right. I mean, in the current climate, it's a bad look anyway. And many owners within the sort of the middle to the bottom tranche are going to be thinking, "This is me done now." Prize money's rubbish, always notwithstanding the Premierisation project. But why would you own horses now, really? What possibly is it? It's not a great product. It's a badly run sport. You can't get a bet on. I'm struggling to see why people would want to get involved. I don't know.
You need a daughter that likes giving them polos on a Wednesday afternoon, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Yes, all right. It's a hobby. It's always been an expensive hobby. No one should reasonably expect to make a profit from their hobby, but it's just not. It's just, and I think it's an unsustainable increase. And as John says, where are the workings out? How is it justified? What's the business case for doing so?
Tony Harding's messaged us today, and he said that he's an owner in the game, and he's frustrated with them because the system is awful, apparently, like as it currently stands. And apparently they're using the 6%, according to the BHA, to improve the system for owners. But I don't...
Business going well, send more money.
Yeah.
That's
suitably vague and opaque, isn't it? Improve this. Well, what system? What specifically are they going to earmark that money for? How much is it going to generate? And and how will this time next year will they be producing a report accounting for how every penny of that 6% increase has been spent and the improvements that have resulted? I rather doubt it.
Yeah, the 6% will probably improve the standard of lunches, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
We've got to eat. Christ, we've got to eat.
the places they eat there. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's
They're
not going...
well, I think they improve their lunches.
Well, you know when you say you're going for lunch and for us, like, it's Greggs or Subway. You know, for them...
Heathens. What's the matter with you?
You know, for them, a lunch for £200 a head.
And Blumenthal's dinner or something, isn't it? You know, like a monkey head or something.
Yeah.
You know, it won't be rubbish, will it?
No, it won't. Absolutely not. Next subject, Ed Chamberlin, Daily Mail arty, cheery Ed. And fair play, look, when we talk about negativity and positivity, Ed just wants to remain positive for the sport, stuff like that. Typical headline is, no other sport is in the same league as racing when it comes to beating itself up, John.
Beating itself off, I think.
Yeah, and
that really.
He said there's too much negativity, blah, blah, blah. To quote him, he says, for instance, Premierisation seems to have been written off before it started on New Year's Day. This isn't a revolution, just one step, no more in the right direction. A step we've been waiting for and incapable of taking for a long time. With racing's hamstrung power, it's in all our interests for it to work, said Skybet's ambassador.
bet now.
It is in all our interest for it to work.
It is, of course it is, right.
Well, yeah,
He's
obviously,
right.
yeah.
There's got to be counterpoints to it, such as rather than moving other fixtures to every available slot, why not close some slots to give a bit of respite to people and cut down on some meetings?
I mean, this is something that, again, by reducing fixtures, you're adding more quality to the pot because the field sizes have to grow. You're forcing
and the
trainers.
Isn't as thinly spread.
Yeah, a bit like Ireland. I mean, that's why Ireland is fairly competitive on prize money, but not grossly so. In fact, Gavin Cromwell has come out and said that he's prepared to run more horses in Britain because the races aren't very competitive and it's for nearly the same money. He's going to target more British races. He's come out and said it 2 days ago. So I don't think some prize money for the better horses anyway, that's not the issue. The whole issue really is the bottom end, where the grassroots, if you like, where you're racing for absolute peanuts after deductions. Because don't forget, as an owner myself of the past, people say, well, that's not bad. You've just won 2,800 quid to winner there. That's not bad. Well, 2,800 quid pays about a month's fees for starters. And secondly, you don't get the 2,800 quid because A, you have to pay VAT on it. You pay the VAT. And secondly, it's about 15% to 20% off for trainer and jockeys cuts of the prize money and staff pool. All of a sudden, your 2,800 quid, it turns out to be like 1,800 quid and 1,900 quid. And then the BHA fees added to that 6%. I mean, the fees are ridiculous. If you buy your colours, you have to pay a registration fee every year to keep them. Last time I went, it was about £92.50 just to keep your colours. So, why? They're mine. I've registered them.
It's unspeakable, isn't it, really? I mean,
yeah.
Admin charges. That's how it is. It's just...
Craig Lidster's got yours now, hasn't he?
He has. He's nicked him. Craig Lidster Racing Club, you bastards. They were mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope he enjoys more success.
Yeah. Producers just saying they were hers because...
Oh, yes. That is true. Technically, that is correct.
Yeah, because it was in my good wife's name. So anyway, going on, these are some Chamberlain's solutions for the sport. He says, what must stop being done are the bag searches, looking for picnics and the confiscation of food by a racecourse. This is a terrible look. And I don't think any of us can disagree with that, can we?
No.
How terrible. In fact, imagine if, say, a family, and this has happened because people have commented on it on social media, where a family of 4 turn up, they don't know the rules. They just think, oh, well, we fancy a day out racing. Why not? We'll give it a try. It's our local course. We've never been. They take a bag of food or whatever, or some sandwiches. Oh, no, you can't come in with that. Bizarre.
It's almost like not being allowed to purchase a Panama hat at Glorious Goodwood and being escorted. It's almost on that level, isn't it, of humiliation.
That was the most surreal thing I have ever had happen to me at a race course. I've never known that ever. And if you haven't heard this story before, I'll say it again for new listeners. So I was in hospitality. I wanted a Panama hat, a Goodwood Panama hat, but they only sold them in the Richmond enclosure, which was for members only. So I asked to come in just to buy a hat. I asked the security, can I just come in? I'm just going to buy a hat. Well, no, not really. I said, well, I want to buy a hat. So they said, well, we'll have to escort you then. So there were 2 security guards that escorted me to the hat place, watching me and didn't leave. What?
They were tucking into their collars while you were browsing.
Yeah, while I'm browsing the hats and I bought my hat, they're still there and escorted me back out. Never seen anything like that ever.
Did you ask him what they thought to the hats as you tried them on?
Well,
I wouldn't have been able to resist that.
Honestly, shocking experience. Racetracks really need to get with it, certainly on the food aspect. I think York do it fantastically well with the middle enclosure. It's a fine day out. On a nice day at York, middle enclosure, family day, or bring your own chairs, bring your own food and booze and sit there and watch the world go by. It's a fine way to spend a day's racing.
I do think if you wanted a sandwich on the other side, you should be able to bring one in.
I agree. What?
Paying enough for your seat at 50 quid plus in the county stand, that if you want to bring a sandwich in, why the hell not?
Well, Adam Norman, our paddock sleuth, he's got it off to a T now because he has really shafted Doncaster. Let's hope Doncaster listen to this and get Norman now on the gates because Norman stuffs his sandwiches down his socks.
Oh. Fight Doncaster, arrest on sight.
Norman's such a rebel, and it's like because they pulled him once. They took his water off him, and he said, "Well, I've got to bring my own water in, surely." No, you go to the taps and get it from the taps, or they'll serve you at the bar for free. It's unbelievable. They're even taking the water off him. It's just these tracks.
That. I mean, what if you're tablet dependent and you need water to take your tablet?
Exactly.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Precisely.
There's a lawsuit coming there.
Taking a load of ease before going in, and you really need to hydrate. What about that?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
Some of Ed's bad ideas that are coming up now, and I don't really go with. So it's about getting the basics right. So he says he wants jockeys' names to have the names on the back, a bit like the football thing. It might help the race goer. Look, I get people that might find that useful. I don't, because it's in the race.
I'll never get this trying to make superstars of the jockeys.
No.
The same as the football thing, isn't it? With trainers, teams, all this. It doesn't work, I mean, as long as it's not somebody with no arms and legs riding your horse, you're all right, really, aren't you? You know enough about them to who you want to back, who you don't want to back, so on and so forth. But you don't want a scarf with your favourite jockey's name on.
We know what we think, really, to when people turn up with scarf colours or jockey silks.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that either. I'm more of a traditionalist. Maybe it's me that needs to get in the bin. So that was one of his ideas. The other one was to make sure that the races going off on time would transform things for the viewer. The only thing with that, Ed, is, as you know, horses are thoroughbreds and are quite leery at the best of times. And the loose racehorse can obviously cause anything from 5 to 20-minute delays, depending on what it wants to do. And we've said on this show, it's simple. You employ outriders.
I thought we were getting back on the snipers, bringing them down again there.
I know, yeah, shoot them. Ed's coming on to the simple things there, but look, I don't know. He's right on the food, though. He's 100% on that. Do we need to get behind Premierisation? Probably in the short term, we need to have a look at it and probably stop being too critical. But as I've said, visionary, not reactionary, is the key to life. Okay, we'll move on. And a good question, this one. Golden betting rules. John, what are your golden betting rules?
Never back Mark Johnson unless you're absolutely
Racing Lou said, never back a horse that's left the Johnson yard. John.
Yeah, and I said I remained there.
Do you reckon it's Charlie's dad's face, though, that's caused them all to be so miserable over time?
Probably. Yeah, probably. God damn it.
It's not a happy place, is it? Not a happy place.
You rarely see Deirdre these days either, do you? Remember when Deirdre always used to appear cheerful on a race course?
Yeah, she's had that knocked out of her.
Miserable sin now, she is. Don't stop moaning.
Yeah, you don't get any better for Deirdre.
She's living in the back room, suffering from deep depression now.
Good one here from one of my favourite Twitter posters that comments on our pods is Bidders. And he said, how about doing a Where Are They Now slot? Could do Roger Buffum as a starter.
That would be a good starter, wouldn't it?
Do you remember Buffer?
Certainly do. Met him on several occasions in a professional capacity, and it was as much of an old bluffer as the papers portrayed him. Know him quite well, actually. Very sinister guy. Yeah, I mean, he was cuddled up with a guy called Walter Besson. I think it was a South African arms dealer. So I think that hastened his departure. Yeah, he ex-military intelligence guy, exactly how you would imagine him to be. Just imagine how you think he is, and that's how he was.
Yeah, for our younger audience, Roger Buffum was basically taken to court by the Jockey Club to prevent not going to the BBC for the Panorama documentary, saying that after he left the role, saying that racing was completely bent. One of your trainers, Chris, Wintle.
The funny thing is, the Kenyan Confronts, I owned a share in that fucking hogs. The one, rally, yeah. You know, he was telling him we're gonna stop this, hook it up, and I said, "You never fucking told me that when you sold it. You sold it." Said, yeah. Kenyan Confronts, that was it. Well, Ferdy Murphy was on it, wasn't he? And I think I'm trying to think of who else was on that actually.
Jimmy Fitzgerald, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was briefly in that, wasn't he?
Jay Calloway, friend of the show.
Yeah, very, very odd that was. Really odd programme, but yes. But Buffum was kind of in that vein of when it was cool for Jockey Club to appoint sort of ex-military types. And I think it was Jeremy Phipps that succeeded him, where I think he was...
Oh, yeah, he was the one that looked permanently surprised, didn't he?
Yeah, led off camera by John Max to brief him. He looked like an uncle that had wet himself, and we're going to go and take
him. Come on, time to go.
Yeah, time to go. You've had your biscuit. You know, they haven't. The nurses haven't stolen your wedding ring. It's all right. Yeah. Yes, I mean, he was I think he was ex-SAS colonel. I think so. That was like kind of that sort of thing where we want military dependable chaps, and then they went down the Paul Scotney route, didn't they? I think it was he chief constable of Cambridgeshire, and then Fallon and all that. And now I actually don't know who heads the kind of the integrity function at the Jockey Club anymore. They used to be quite high profile.
They just barricaded themselves in a room and remained anonymous, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, they used to be high profile, didn't they? They used to be sort of quoted every month in the Post, or there was some reason to be on TV. But now they're very much more kind of opaque now, I think.
I mean, back in the day, Roger Buffum was brought in. So you say he was a bit of a bluffer, Chris?
He was see, the problem was, I dare say, he came in with a mandate to shake this bloody sport up. So the culture of the security department at that time, not commenting on what it's like now because I don't know, but at that time, it was to root out corruption. The operating premise was that everybody's at it. Everybody's at it, and they brought in old coppers and old spies to be betting intelligence officers, and you would see these blokes, you could spot them a mile off, fucking shiny brogues, green barber and a flat cap. You thought, oh yeah, he used to be a spy. You can tell them a mile off. So they used to wheel these, and they used to generate lots and lots of intelligence. But the frustration was then, as is now, turning intelligence into evidence is really, really hard. So, I think his mandate was to sort of, to shake people up, etc. And then when they got Scotland in, they suddenly grew a pair and said, hey, let's criminally prosecute these people. And unfortunately, they found out that's a really difficult thing to do. But yeah, very, very odd character he was, quite a cold man.
Yeah, on prosecution in racing, this thought occurred to me today. The thought was that why, if you work for the post office, you wrongly get accused of fraud.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's shocking. That's just another story.
Yeah, but the same thing, right? So if you defraud, say, a bank, you work for a bank and you defraud them out of, I don't know, 20 grand or something. You set up a 3-runner race, get 2 not to try, and bet the other.
Yeah,
and win 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that not prosecuted? Why is that? Well, that's how it is.
Well, I suppose it's the process of it is an act of fraud, isn't it? It is a criminal offence, but you have to build cases to the standard where a conviction is very much more likely than not. And so I guess the process of gathering evidence is difficult. It's time consuming. It's very it's a really difficult thing to do without necessarily the resources to do it. And so, with your one hand tied behind your back, you built a case that A, may not be of a sufficient standard to take to trial. But even if it is, I mean, what's the criminal penalty going to be? It's kind of half not worth it unless the figures involved are very large. So I think the Jockey Club, post Fallon, etc., thought, right, okay, we'll give people a tug where we spot unusual betting patterns to the effect that, we're watching you, so behave kind of thing, because it's expensive and it's time consuming, and police forces just aren't interested, because obviously the Jockey Club can't prosecute, so they'll put an intelligence package to the police, Metropolitan Police or whatever, and the police go, yeah, that's great, some 50 grand fraud in a horse race, no thanks, because they've got other priorities, haven't they?
Yeah, no, it's just interesting though in life. Like, so if me and you worked in a post office or a bank, we defrauded them. But like you said, probably evidence is more clear.
The audit trail's much clearer, unless it's sort of post office, then clearly it is. But it, in a fair system, you would see where that money's gone astray and to whom it's gone, right? So it's relatively straightforward to build a case. But where you have an inquiry that's going to involve multiple phone calls between parties, so you've got to obtain permissions from the phone service providers to provide that phone log data, and they've got enormous backlogs because guess what, they're rushed off their feet with terrorism and serious organised crime. So this kind of offence isn't really going to tickle anyone, is it really? So is it worth it? And if I was a police chief constable, you want your detecting force to be out solving crimes that have great social harm, like people using slot machines, for instance, or sending terrible tweets. But just be. But that's where you want your money to spend. That's what your punters, your constituents, or whatever want the resource to be directed at sort of serious crime. And this ain't it, really, is it?
No, you get more time for probably making bad tweets than you would.
You probably would, yeah.
Than you would fiddling a 3-runner race at Fakenham.
This is how mad it is. About a couple of years ago, I had a call from a detective sergeant from Essex Constabulary wanted to talk to me about a complaint that had been made by somebody on like the Xbox server. Where they're all playing chats. They can chat with each other with headsets on, playing Xbox games online. The mother of one of the kids playing is alleged that my son had called this boy's mother a fucking old cunt, quote unquote, which is probably true, but he denied it hotly, and he was absolutely shocked that I would think that of him. But just say, for example, that he didn't. I actually had a phone call and a very stern lecture about sort of malicious the law surrounding malicious communication, and it's just, I was sort of shaking my head, and I said to the guy, I said, is this what you joined the police force for? What do you mean? I said, as a little boy, did you envisage doing this kind of police work? Well, no, blah blah blah, we can't pick and choose, etc. But I thought, this is where it's come to, wasting. But of course you can understand it because it doesn't involve them having to leave the office, does it? Just pick the phone up, berate someone, and that's it, case closed.
Yeah, drink tea, eat cake, fart. Yeah,
absolutely. Fart. Yeah, 12 a day. Yeah, brilliant.
Bufham's reign. There were 4 famous cases under Bufham's reign where they had Bufham's pants down. Berners Nigel, August 1994, back from 16-1 to 2-1 at Folkestone, only to be withdrawn, tested positive for hydrocortisone. 95 at Chepstow, Gibbereen provided Declan Murphy with an emotional winning comeback from injury. But the race provoked controversy. Stephen Little, a leading rails bookmaker, reported his unease at betting patterns.
Yeah, that's all they wanted to bet, they said.
And later condemned the Jockey Club's lack of action. Murphy and Jeff Lewis, Gibbereen's trainer, condemned the Jockey Club for carrying out a secret inquiry. On Derby Day 97, a bogus bookmaker, John Batten, set up a pitch on Epsom Downs and walked away with race cars.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's fucking genius. Just take the money and fucks off. He was seen running over Trundle Hill, wasn't it, or whatever. Right to my office. You'll all get paid, he said from the car park. Yeah. Oh, mad.
And finally, in 97 March, Avanti Express and Lively Night were dirt with ACP. By then, the Jockey Club had already approached the police. There was, Buffum claimed, prime facie evidence of criminal activity.
Yeah, prima facie evidence, yeah.
In connection with race fixing. That were Buffum times. Roger Bluffum, we ought to call him. Fun topic, but we'll move on due to time-wise. Just talking about bit to do with Andrew John Rhodes, really. Obviously, the Gambling Commission have said that, we can sort out the black market problem, no problem. We'll block websites. That's not an issue. They don't see it as an issue. This week, CityBet, the Chinese, who are the masters of surveillance and technology, can't work out where the illegal Asian betting exchange CityBet, that's turning over $50 billion
fucking a day,
right, to Chinese residents. They can't work out where it is or who's behind it. Right?
You think?
But Andrew John Rhodes, the baldy from Birmingham, is gonna sort it all out.
Yeah, screaming skull.
Yeah, so that's fun for the Chinese can't do it. Andrew John Rhodes,
CityBet will be quaking, won't it?
I can see Andrew John Rhodes in a cape actually flying into a building saying, "I'll sort it." It's rather funny, this one. Questions time. What we got left? So it's a good idea, that bit, isn't it, on the Buffum thing. Where are they now? We'll try and do some where are they now slots on a weekly basis. I think that's quite a bit of fun. Next question, a couple of funny ones to finish with. So we'll go to the sort of more serious one. Little Polvier, he's a regular contributor, and he says, anyone tipping on Twitter or the Tinternet, why does no one ever post losers? Why is it all winners? He's frustrated. He wants to see people do the brains and post losers. To be fair, it's a good point. Why is there a fascination with racing that, like, if you have a losing bet or a losing week, you're an idiot?
But no one loses on Twitter. No one ever loses, do they?
No.
So that's what. There's no losing bets because no one's ever bets a loser, do they? They're always right all the time.
I'm more likely to put something up if something's gone wrong that was beyond my control.
Yeah.
After a race and got me stuffed, that's when I would tend to put something up. Really.
Yeah.
That little cunt's cost me a fortune there,
It's one of them things. I think social media, especially since the arrival of it, obviously ladies like to look the best. You're not going to get a lady posting a picture when they've just got up in the morning after 8 pints night before. Like,
yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. It's a psychological thing. I think it's to sort of make you look probably better than you are. And I think we're all guilty of it to a degree, because especially if you're trying to promote products like I'm going to now, regarding the Edge service, Chris Gartner, the new signing, obviously had a fantastic weekend, tipping a nice treble on the Friday show. Hope you Friday listeners were all on. He's a very good National Hunt judge, and he joins the Barstewards team also on Edge selections. So that is a service worthy of joining. Not only that, he posts his horses to follow on Barstewards Patreon for £7 a month, but the Edge service is where it's at $37 a month, with 20% return on investment at 11 a.m, which, to be honest, is phenomenal. You're all sat there probably laughing at us only making 20%, but you try and do it at 11 a.m. when everyone's dipped the bread like you, Taylor, and everyone else. You try and do it then. Do it on a Tuesday night in Stockport. Can you do it?
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing.
A wet Tuesday in Stoke.
Yeah, give us a look. Just have a look. You can join for a month. It's not a long-term commitment. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, not. But it's well worth the 7 or 37. There's nothing not to like, because it's all our expertise. John's notebook, everyone posts on there. And it's quite a good community we've got going there. And it's something that I can promote with hand on heart and say it's as genuine a service as you will ever find. More questions, fun to finish with. First one is 70s cop shows, John.
Hey, look, now, I tell you what, mate, you were lucky with this.
Yeah.
There's 2 big people died this week, David Soul and Glimish John.
Yes, true.
I don't think anybody wanted to be saying what was the favourite Glimish John's film.
No.
What was it?
It was 102. She made about 600 films. The Week in the Wicked was quite good. That wasn't going to get the juices flowing for everybody, really, was it?
Let me run a sort of a top 10 and you can pick your best. See if I hit the notes here. So we've got obviously the obvious ones. We've got Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
We've got Streets of San Francisco.
Yeah.
The Professionals.
Yeah.
Kojak.
Oh, Kojak. Theo Kojak.
Yeah. Columbo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just one more thing.
Yeah. Away Fiver.
Jack Lord. Yeah.
Who don't like a bit of Jack Lord?
Everyone.
Chips.
Oh, shit. I hate chips.
Oh, no.
That's bollocks. Chips. Get in the bin.
Fuck off with chips.
One of my favourites were Rockford Files.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Yes. Yeah. Comedy aspect.
Yeah. Charlie's Angels.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In a double with the Dukes of Hazzard, even though that isn't his top programme.
Yeah, who didn't like Daisy Duke? Yeah.
Everyone. I sat for every tea time. I sat with my tray on my tea. My mum says, "You're not eating your Battenberg."
Daisy Duke.
Having a met before, isn't it?
Yeah. So going down a few more potential. I think Ironside. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Terrific.
Art to Art, John. That for you?
Yeah, it was Moida.
Moida, yeah. two rich cunts, and the bloke loved them, didn't he? The old Max.
Yeah.
Was it Max
the butler. Max the butler.
Yeah, it was on 70 quid a week.
Yeah. And he slept in the car.
Yeah, he had to clean dog shit up and everything, didn't he?
And he said, he said, "Did you push that bird off that yacht to Robert Wagner?" Yeah, that was it. Natalie Wood, wasn't it? Yeah. Quite.
Quincy.
Jack Klugman,
Yeah, the old duck that found himself tracking down mafia and things
like that.
Oh,
he's a fucking jinx, though. You wouldn't want him near you, would you? Christ.
No, so of that lot, what are we crowning our best police show?
I think Streets of San Francisco. That's my favourite.
It was probably the grittiest, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's good, that. Frank Cannon, that guy, superstar.
Yeah.
And Petrocelli.
Yeah.
Petrocelli,
Petrocelli. Even though it wasn't a cop show, he was a lawyer. Never finished building his house, did he? Every week he used to put another brick on that house.
And I'm sorry, also the Sweeney. I mean, how can?
God Almighty! Yeah,
that's a shocking omission from me.
Shoestring, was that 70s one? Remember that?
Eddie Shoestring, yeah.
Eddie Shoestring, yeah.
The Chinese detective.
David Yip, that was him, yeah. David Yip, Chinese detective. You couldn't get away with that now, could you?
No, I'd never met that, would they?
252 with chips, please. Right.
You just have to call him the detective, wouldn't
you? Right. So my two would be Tied, Professionals, and Starsky and Hutch. Reason with Professionals, it took it to a new level. Like every police drama were pretty straight laced in Britain, and Professionals, it were you were dealing with like Syrian drug gangs,
terrorists and
terrorists. It's whoa, what's this? This is unbelievable. Yeah,
everybody wanted to be Lewis Collins, didn't they?
Oh, Birdie.
Yeah.
No, Martin Dale would. Yeah, Birdie. You wanted to be Birdie and knock everybody out and be a complete twat.
It was good.
All right, and to finish then on the subject of sort of films, if you like, Samuel the Cat with a great question. He says, "What is the greatest film the Barsters people have ever seen, and have they ever shed a tear to a film?" I'm not really a film crier, though. I often get a bit watery to some, but I would say my favourite two are Highlander, that I've watched so many times. Halloween, ladies. Forgive me, Father. I am a worm. The Kurgan, Sean Connery in that, Christoph Lambert. And the other one is Rounders, poker with Matt Damon, Edward Norton. That is a phenomenal gambling film for anyone that hasn't seen that. Rounders. So they're my all-time favourite two. Chris, yours?
Two, I think non-gambling related would have to be. I think Withnail and I is a tremendous film with Richard E. Grant and Paul McGann. I think that is a fantastic piece of art. So I like Withnail and I.
Oh, brilliant!
And a stupid one, National Lampoon's Animal House. Remember that? Check that out. It's very, very, very rarely repeated. You always get the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, those kind of. But National Lampoon's Animal House had John Belushi, Donald Sutherland of all people, and a few others, and it's sort of set in a kind of a late 50s American kind of frat house, and so you can imagine what that was about. But tremendous film. You can still get it. I think you can get it on Amazon or something like that. But definitely worth a look. Very funny film.
Super duper. Love it. John, before I come to you, it's not Cocaine Bear, one of your favourite films, is it?
No, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. If it were me, I'd still be in those fucking woods looking for it.
Yeah,
Come on, we haven't looked here. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like Sharknado and Piranha Double D, Cocaine Bear's up your street, I think. Anyway.
I'd say a film I would recommend. I mean, I've seen most of the classics and Citizen Kane and all that sort of stuff, but one I would really recommend is a Peter O'Toole film called My Favourite Year. And I think that is a terrific feel-good film. I always enjoy that on the rare occasions it's on the telly. And as regards a film that makes you cry, I never fail to fill up at the end of Local Hero.
Interesting. I haven't seen either of those.
That's because he's peeling onions every time he watches it.
Honestly,
tremendous
Hero,
I've seen it. Yeah, it's a tremendous film. Yeah.
And racing film, John's recommendation to me for Rainbow Stripes was also outstanding.
Rainbow Jacket.
Is that the Rainbow Jacket? Rainbow Stripes.
Rainbow so much so you didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, Rainbow Jacket is brilliant. Honestly, you've got to watch that. It's old, but it's really, really good. And it's about fiddling, which we always like. It's a very funny show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday with more winners, hopefully. We're going well. 49% return on investment on Friday shows, chaps. And it's free. It's totally free and always will be. So don't forget to join us on Friday. And then we'll be back as normal next week. Same time. Bye for now.